The concept of honor is almost universal. Most cultures around the world have a concept of honorable and dishonorable battle, and this is true even with dragons. But there is one culture of dragons that revolves purely around honor and combat. Sapphire Dragons are very much militaristic. Like most gemstone dragons, they have powerful psionic abilities, but unlike their kin, they rarely if ever use them in combat. They instead use them for the likes of gaining intel and learning more about their opponents, as well as communication with allies, rather than attacking their foes. They would rather try to best them with their might and raw power. Sapphire Dragons inherently love and seek out battle, but they are far from unjust in this regard. See, they love honor and prowess of battle and war, fights, conflict. They live for it, but they would never start a war unjustly. The one and only thing they hunt indiscriminately are aliens from the far realm and abominations that seek to corrupt and destroy our world. They have a hate for them like quite a lot of gemstones. But for most things, they would not start a conflict against them undeserved. But they often seek to join armies that are fighting in a war, or maybe even a mercenary company that are about to join a conflict, and I can't think of many who would turn down the services of a dragon showing up and offering their aid, even if their price is little more than the average wage. See, they usually demand that they keep what they kill. See, they hate the idea of starting a war, but joining and ending one is just fine as they see it. See, if they were to start it, they would be changing the way that the world would naturally occur. But if they joined one, they would merely be cementing one of two possible outcomes that they have set for themselves. Never mind that they are more than okay with raising through the ranks and giving orders and commands, to the point where they might actually change the fate of a battle and win a losing war. It was always a possibility, so they don't feel bad about this. But their main passion in combat is that of a fair duel. A one-on-one fight between two willing warriors. A duel of fates, where the better fighter stands proud over a non-bitter and accepting defeat. They are the type of dragon to never back down from a challenge, especially one of a duel, and will take up the offer for anyone who would wish to fight a fair duel against them. They are probably the proudest of all the gemstone dragons in this regard, maybe even rivaling the chromatics. This can actually be quite annoying if they're your ally, by the way, as you could be fighting a battle where victory is clear and near assured, but the best fighter in your forces has suddenly just flown away to duel one of the grunts of the enemy forces in a one-on-one battle, leaving the enemy archers in the back line that he would have cleared in seconds, unchecked, shooting down and destroying the forces, making this battle a loss. Their dueling status means that much to them, where they might even do it, knowing this is the outcome. This militaristic nature extends into what they keep in their hoards. See, they love coins and gems, of course, nothing special there, but their main love is war equipment. Weapons, armor, tomes of knowledge, books retelling military history, relics of old, and trophies of the foes they have dueled. In fact, they tend to keep at least a small trophy from every duel they win. This results in a massive section of their hoard could just be the trophies, ranging from all scales and levels of power, from an impressive sword of an elven prince that battled for a day and a night to a standstill, where the dragon was eventually the victor, to a club of a goblin that managed to impress the dragon as it surprise attacked him one night. But if you are looking for some of the strongest weapons or the most powerful artifacts of war, or perhaps you just want ones with stories behind them, you would find most and the best of them within the lair of a sapphire dragon. I think the most interesting thing I have seen in the hoard of a sapphire dragon is a chess set with all the pieces replaced by holy symbols of war gods that the dragon has collected from all of those she had beaten in combat. It was a little bit of a bizarre display looking back on it, but it was quite pretty looking. There is something else I'd like to note when it comes to their culture and society. See, they have this strange pilgrimage when they look out for battle. See, they live and lair underground for most of the time, within the Underdark, but that is not where they seek battle. See, they feel the urge of the warrior, and want to leave their home and venture off in the world quite commonly. And when they do this, they spend a lot of time away. Usually they stay in one land for about a human's lifetime before they head back to their lair. And they rarely go to the same place twice. See, in their younger days, when they actually are finding a lair within the Underdark, they might fight against, or possibly even help, the drow that live underground. But as they get older, they might go on a campaign and travel the lands, perhaps to my homes in the west, where the grasslands and forests of kings and warlords. But the next time they travel into the world, they might go to the land of the far east, to the lands of samurai and the vast empires, or perhaps the deserts of the south, of scimitars and sand. They travel and temporarily dwell in these lands and make many collections of trophies that they have in their journeys and bring them back to their lairs, making them so diverse and colourful in a way that's just amazing to behold. Small snippets of the cultures of the world, albeit just their militaries. But like I said before, they live and lair underground, and because of this, they are surprisingly good burrowers and tunnelers, and their lairs are usually vast underground networks of tunnels and traps that they use to keep those unwanted out of their domain. But if they are home when someone stumbles into their domain and is not smart enough to leave as soon as they realize it's a dragon's lair, they won't attack them or even talk to them. They will simply follow them. See, like I said before, they're not actually fond of surprise attacks, and the reason they won't talk to them is because secretly they hope for a fight. So they gather intel on their opponents and make sure that they keep all possibilities of what they might do in this regard. See, it's kind of impossible to have a fair amount of intel as your opponent does, so they like having the advantage in this regard, as they know it's impossible to be fair. So they still seek a fair fight, but when it comes to the domain of intel, they're okay with having the advantage. But their domains very much help them in gathering this intel. See, they have many effects in their domains, and some of these are very useful. One of the main effects in their domain is that they can see through any natural stone as if they were casting the clairvoyant spell, but again, this is psionics. This is made even more beneficial by the fact that large crystals of sapphire grow in clusters around the whole of their domain. Another amazing effect they have on their domain is anyone who has a form of psionic ability has it hugely amplified when in their lands, and telepathic communication has been doubled in its radius. This even affects temporary effects that have been added, and friends and foe alike. And the last thing of note is that their favourite food thrives in their land, but it's actually quite surprising what their favourite food is. See, the prey they hunt and have the most enjoyment out of killing is actually giant spiders. They love the taste of giant spiders. Perhaps it's their venom, or even poison, or maybe the webs inside them, I don't know. But it's likely because they've manipulated them with their psionic powers that they live and thrive in their domain. This would also help in defending their lair when they are gone. See, quite a lot of giant cobwebs can be quite annoying to get through for any would-be adventurer. But, changing the topic again, it is very likely that you will come to fight a Sapphire Dragon should you meet one, as they are incredibly militaristic. But you are installed for a fair fight should this happen, and although they prefer duels, they are willing to fight a group if they think it will be quite even. They will be quite honourable, even if you aren't, unless you do something really drastic and unfair to make them throw this honourable nature out the window. But I should state that they are one of the few types of dragons that would hesitate to use their breath weapon, as they like to ensure that their fight is fair. See, their breath attack is known as a debilitating breath, but it's bizarrely misleading because it's actually a short sonic sound that they shoot from their mouth, so it's more akin to a scream than a breath. A scream that ruptures eardrums and leaves many incapacitated. But a battle roar is what you can call it. But they don't really use it if they're having a fair fight or a duel. They only really tend to use it when they're on the battlefield, or they're being ambushed, or perhaps they're really desperate. But, like many gemstone dragons, they can also teleport. Again, like their breath, they don't like using it, but they're not too afraid to if things get a bit rough. One more thing I shall note of importance is how they reproduce. See, they have a culture that has a strange tradition, in that they duel their partner. If they are both happy with the other's combat prowess, they will become a couple, and will mate for life. The one who wins, by the way, will sort of wear the pants in the relationship, so to speak. Like most gemstones, they have a few eggs, and they care for their young very well, and commonly, playing with them and training them until they are almost wormlings. At that point, they are cast out into the wild to see if they can survive on their own. This does hurt their low numbers, but it also makes sure that the strong survive. They don't really see their partners commonly, and don't really spend too much time with them, as they're usually apart on either their campaigns or in their separate lairs. But they are still loyal and caring for each other. It's not a formal marriage in any way, nor is there any form of ceremony. But they are loyal, probably more so than most weddings, were it not for the next part of their culture I shall note. See, some Sapphire Dragons make challenges to a romantic rival for their partner, and if their partner agrees, they shall have a duel for their hand. And I'd like to quickly tell you a tale of an event I witnessed like this. This is a bit of a long one, but for context to this tale, I was travelling to an island in the Far East, to a land filled with samurai, where a Sapphire Dragon had climbed all the way up through the ranks and became a lord, the locals calling it a daimyo. I was recruited as a mercenary into his service, as he promised me a scroll to a 9th level spell should I aid him, and I was very much seeking it, so I helped him in his campaigns where I saw a duel commence. See, he has a young son, a Sapphire Dragon called Mezvind the Beauty, and I've been told that by dragon standards he very much lived up to that name. And there were two younger Sapphire Dragons, Lesviki and Mezkata, that fought for his hand. Well, they were both older than him, but they were still young in dragon standards. Lesviki, however, gave me an offer before the duel. If I was to poison her opponent, to weaken her, she would give me a treasure from her hoard. Now, I'm not one to interrupt an honourable duel, and the locals would probably have had my head were I caught. But I knew she held a blade belonging to one of my ancestors, and I sought it desperately. And so, I agreed. Late into the night, with the aid of a ninja companion, I snuck into Mezkata's room, where she was staying in a human form. But surprisingly, I found her crying alone. I revealed myself and talked to her, and I learned that she actually did not want to fight, and had no interest in Mezvind, as it was her mother who forced her to stake a claim. So I gave her an offer. If she threw the fight, I'd help her save some face with her family. And after some convincing, she agreed. In the end, Lesviki got the hand she wanted, Mezvind had a new bride, and Mezkata was secretly happy. And I got to keep my head, and I got to keep all of the rewards. And technically speaking, I didn't really do anything. Yet I was thanked and rewarded as if I fought the duel myself. It was an incredibly bizarre scenario, and quite a funny one that I managed to come out on top, all things considered. Thank you for listening to my tales. I am the Ashspawn. Feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. But, till next we meet, fellow traveller, have a good day.